So at what point did you define success for yourself, and what does success mean for you today?
Absolutely. It's a really good question, Stephanie. To be honest with you, and that's one of the things I love about my job is that question means something completely different from person to person. And not
Exactly.
different doesn't mean good or bad. It just means different. And what I love is helping people find, hey, what's going to make you happy? What does that look like? And then, like if you look at social media today, you saw since Facebook comes out in social media, depression kind of goes up, anxiety goes up. And the reason why is people, that envy syndrome. They look on Facebook and they're comparing. Yes, they compare it. But in our book and in our process with our clients is we give exercises and say, hey, don't worry about the outside world. Take the time to say, what's important to you? Who's important to you? What life is going to make, and not just, hey, I want $1 million like you said, or £1 million, or hey, I want to retire. No, what does that life look like in detail? It's Tuesday afternoon, you're 60 years old. What are you doing that's going to bring you joy? What kind of relationships with your loved ones that you want? Describe that in detail. Then you can align your money with that. So for me, it was doing just that. It's called your vision statement. I had a mentor. I never did this before, but I had a mentor of mine had me do it. And my wife and I, we did it together. You take 10 pieces of paper, you go to a quiet area, and 30 minutes to an hour, and then you write out everything you want in your life. And you be detailed, not just, hey, I want X amount of dollars or I want to retire. No, it's a great analogy. Pretend like you're 110 years old or 120 years old and you're in a rocking chair and you're looking back over your life. What specifically has to happen for you to go, wow, this was a great life?
Welcome to the Bricks and Banks podcast, where real estate meets real wealth. Whether you're building from the ground up or stacking your paper to the ceiling, Steph breaks down property power plays and money moves you can act on. From first-time buyers to seasoned investors, this podcast is your blueprint for financial freedom through real estate, business, and investment. Subscribe now. It's time to build your future. This is Bricks and Banks with Steph.
Before we dive into the conversation, I want to let you know that this episode is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. You know what's interesting? We all have these patterns in our lives. The ways we react when we are stressed out, hurt, or disappointed. Maybe shutting people out or walking yourself into exhaustion. Or that voice in your head that says you're not good enough. For me, it's shutting people out. And here is the thing. We know that these patterns aren't helping us. We can see them clearly, but breaking them, that's a completely different story. I used to think I could just power through on my own, that time will heal everything, or I just needed to be stronger. But the truth is, some cycles are nearly impossible to break on your own. Not because you're weak, but because you're so close to see the full picture. That's why having outside support, real professional support, becomes a game changer. When you have someone who is trained to help you understand why these patterns exist and give you actual tools to help change them, everything shifts. You're not just surviving anymore, you're actually on your path to healing. That's why I'm partnering with BetterHelp today. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. They will connect you with a credentialed therapist who is trained to listen to you and give you helpful, unbiased advice, ensuring confidentiality throughout the process. You just get to fill out a questionnaire and you'll be matched with a therapist as soon as possible. And if that's not the right fit, don't fret. You can easily switch therapists at any time at no extra cost. To get started, head on to betterhelp.com/bricksandbanks. That is betterhelp.com/bricksandbanks to get 10% off your very first month of therapy. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description so you can get right on. Breaking the cycle starts with one step, and this could be yours. Going to therapy is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. BetterHelp makes therapy simple with 10% off your first month of therapy to help you get started. So what are you waiting for? Remember, you don't have to do this alone. A problem shared is a problem half solved. We are live. Hey everyone, welcome to another amazing episode of the Bricks and Banks podcast. And today I have with me an amazing guest. Dr. Nicholas Michels. He's a best-selling author of the book Rich by Choice. He's a certified financial planner and is the founder of the Michels Family Financial. Nick's journey is anything but ordinary. From a childhood shaped by financial hardship to playing professional basketball overseas, down to turning down an $8.1 million deal. Nick, you need to tell me about that because I really don't know why you did that. But he did it for a good reason. He did it in the pursuit for purpose and is living out that purpose. His story is proof that true wealth is far beyond money. In this conversation, we'll explore how mindsets, marriage, and money all intersect, and how being rich by choice is about building a life of freedom, clarity, and lasting impact. Dr. Nick, you're welcome to the call today.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I love these conversations. I call them like secrets of success, and I just think they're
Yeah.
so powerful, and not just with money, but
Mhm.
in life. So I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a mastermind. You're the pro, I'm the Joe, and we're just basically bouncing off ideas right now. And your story is very interesting because you need to tell me about the 8.1 million deal. Why did you turn it down? Because I was like, no, why did you do that?
Oh, I know. And I know looking back, if you would have asked me 15, 20 years ago if I would have done that,
Mm.
I would have said, no way, not a chance. Give me that opportunity and I'll sign on the dotted line today. But,
Yeah.
it just, I call it a God wink where, God kind of looks out for you because the path that we did take, starting our own financial firm,
Mm.
doing it our way, it's just been amazing. Like I would never go back and change it. And the reason I did it was, as you read through the book, when I started to see some things in the financial industry that I just didn't agree with. I started to
Mm.
see cracks in the industry. And this wasn't all firms and all financial advisors. No, but there was a lot of ones doing things not the right way. For instance, there was a story out there that talks about in a financial firm, there's a manager and he's talking to a financial advisor. And
Yeah.
within that financial firm, the manager goes, "Hey, there's three parties in every transaction. There's the financial
Mm.
firm, there's the financial advisor, and then there's the client." And then the manager goes, "Hey, only two out of the three have to make money." And I was just shocked. Like things like that, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And so when I started to see things like that in bottom dollar thinking, like corporate greed, like it's real. It is. And so when I saw those things, it just I couldn't be a part of it anymore. And so
Mm.
that's why I turned down the money. Like I said, I've never looked back, and I'm forever grateful. I mean, I remember going home and telling my wife, I said, "Babe, I can't do this anymore. I've got to make a change." And she so simply just said, "Okay, let's do it." And I mean, I didn't think she would be on board that quickly. And when she
No.
did, we gave the green light to do it together. And it's, like I said, it's been a wonderful journey ever since.
Wow. And I like how vulnerable you are with your story because you basically poured your heart out in your book. And your story starts with a moment where kids would never forget hearing. You heard your parents say, "Let's get divorced." Looking back now, how did that single moment of instability end up shaping not only your career today, but the way you think about money and and what your source of security and freedom looks like?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually a story that goes full circle because
Mm.
you just started it. I mean, I was 10 years old. I mean, you got to go back when, a 10-year-old. And growing up,
Yeah.
I was so fortunate. My dad, he owned several businesses. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, we were lucky. And I'm in the money business now. I didn't even know what money was. I just knew, hey, things were pretty good. And then you said it. My mom walks in and goes, "Hey, your dad and I are getting divorced."
Mm.
And that completely shattered my childhood. I mean, my mom went from a stay-at-home mom of four boys to a single mom of four boys working three jobs just to survive. And things weren't, that great for my dad either. He struggled. I mean, we went from a big house on one side of town to a tiny house on the other side of town. That good life I was telling you about, to my mom saying things like, "Hey, go get all the loose change and money around the house because we're going to need it." And so it's at a very young age that I quickly realized that money influences your life. Either you have a choice, either for good or for bad, because I lived through it, because it wasn't the stuff that we lost that stuck with me. Because stuff
Mm.
comes and goes and stuff's not important. What really stuck with me, Stephanie, was seeing the emotional and physical toll and pain that it
Mm.
took on my mom and my brothers. And I lived through it. And I don't want you or anybody in your family ever to have to do that. And so that's where it lit a fire under me. Like you asked me, "Hey, Nick, how'd that change your life?" Well, it lit a
Yeah.
fire under me because I wanted to to read everything, to understand everything. That way I knew how to build, how to grow, but also how to protect. And so that's why I do what I do. And I'm lucky. I love what I do.
Wow. And you've said it before that money isn't just math, it's impact happiness, relationships, and even your identity as a person. So,
Mhm.
what was the first moment you realized that money was more emotional than logical? And how has that insight changed the way you guide others?
Oh, absolutely. Because, talking about full circle is
Yeah.
when I was younger, like in my mind
Mm-hmm.
was just that, hey, we lost money, we lost happiness. And so when I got older, I thought it was all just money. And so when I was young, as my money and wealth started to grow, well, guess what? My happiness didn't grow with it. And I did a little bit, but not a lot. And so that's when I realized that, yes, money is important and is one aspect of
Mm-hmm.
overall joy and happiness, but
Yeah.
it's not everything. And like I said, when I was young and I was a new advisor starting out, my number one favorite thing was to make people money. And I'm good at it and I love it. And I still love it to this day. But now my number one favorite thing is to watch people spend it and use it
Mm.
to align with their life because money's a tool and it's how you align your money and your wealth with what's most important to you. And that's where when things align is when you'll find more happiness. And so how do I live that is not only with my own personal, my wife and I planning together in our wealth, but also
Yeah.
helping people do that. Because just think about it, Stephanie, when you die or people die, are they sitting there going, man, I wish I would have made more money?
No, not at all.
No, no, they're not. What are they thinking about? They're thinking about their loved ones and
Yeah.
the amazing memories and possibly regrets. And so that's what we help people do is get rid of their fears, build the life they want. And that way they don't have any regrets.
Hmm. That's very interesting. But at what point did you say, "Oh, you wanted to write a book that encapsulated everything you've worked on and lived about money?" What point?
Mhm.
What was the spark for you to write this book?
Yeah, what the spark was is when I was going through schooling and higher education, all my
Hmm.
certificates in the financial industry, is that I wanted to simplify them. I wanted to simplify what I
Mm.
was learning that way people could use the concepts. Because like Albert Einstein has a great quote. It's like you don't know something well enough until you can simplify it and share it with others. And I believe that it is because it doesn't have to be all complex, but it also it happened to me. What really changed things for me, where I really wanted to get my story out, was I was in church one Sunday, and
Okay.
Pastor Rick was my pastor, and he gave this great sermon series about, hey, what the Bible doesn't say. And it was all these different sermons about, hey, people think the Bible says this or that, but it really doesn't. And so it propelled me to go, hey, I've actually never read the Bible from front to back. I mean, I go to church and things
Ooh.
like that, but I've never read it before. I need to. So I started reading the Bible every day. And a little known fact, if you read 3 chapters of the Bible, you can read it in about a year. It's actually a little
Yeah.
longer year. If you read 6 chapters, you read it in half a year. So I did
Mm.
it. And I was reading the Bible every day as I was going through schooling, and I was reading all these business success stories and leadership books. And it
Mm.
dawned on me that they say the exact same thing. All the great, from Warren Buffett, Dave Ramsey, Abraham Lincoln, Susie Orman, all the great investors and business individuals,
Mm.
their great advice said the same thing as the Bible. And so as I incorporate that into my life and all the business and the thousands of lives of people that we work with and the families that we serve, I just came across this story that I had to tell because the benefits were too great just to keep to myself. And so that was a long-winded answer to tell you, but that's really what inspired me because I saw it happening in my own life. I saw the positive impacts it made on other people. And then I
Yeah.
go, I've got to write it. I've got to share this. But I'll tell you this, Stephanie, I've never written a book before. It was a lot
Wow.
harder than I thought it was going to be. It's not easy. I'll tell anybody out there, it's tough. I'll be the first one to admit it took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm really grateful.
Yeah, you're doing it, and you're best-selling author. You didn't just write a book. You're excelling at it. So how does that feel for you?
It feels really good. I'm grateful for it. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
the awards, the best selling, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, USA Today, and that's wonderful. But
Yeah.
Stephanie, what's really exciting and I get full of energy about is the success stories. Like if you look at the reviews
Mm.
on how it's changing people and not just one type person, it's hey, the single mom that couldn't breathe and now there's a budget strategy in there that helps people breathe and create extra income, that how it changed their life and outlook on life, and all the way to the other end of the spectrum of people who have achieved certain wealth, but then guess what they got there? and it's not as great as they thought it was going to be. And the reason why is they're missing of some purpose, some fulfillment, and how that's
Mm.
helped them. So then, even in between the families that are growing together, and how do you protect that family and protect your retirement? So it's just seeing how it's benefiting others' lives. Stephanie, that's worth it a million times over again. Like, that's what I really get excited about.
Nice. I mean, a lot of people say success is what you define it to be for you. Because some people's definition of success is to make £1 million this year. Other people like, what's what would mean success for me is me buying my house, having my family living together in that same house. Other people will like, oh, success for me is having to buy different cars for different family members. So at what point
Mhm.
did you define success for yourself, and what does success mean for you today?
Absolutely. It's a really good question, Stephanie. To be honest with you, and that's one of the things I love about my job is
Hmm,
that question means something completely different from person to person. And not
exactly.
different doesn't mean good or bad. It just means different. And
Hmm,
what I love is helping people find, hey, what's going to make you happy? What does that
hmm,
look like? And then, like if you look at social media today, you saw since Facebook comes out and social media, depression kind of goes up, anxiety goes up. And the reason why is people that
we
envy
compare.
syndrome. They look on Facebook and they're comparing. Yes, they compare it. But in our book and in our process with our clients is we give exercises say, hey, don't worry about the outside world. Take the time to say, what's important to you? Who's important to you? What life is going to make, and not just, hey, I want $1 million, like you said, or £1 million, or hey, I want to retire. No, what
Mhm,
does that life look like in detail? It's Tuesday afternoon. You're 60 years old. What are you doing that's going to bring you joy? What kind of relationships with your loved ones that you want? Describe that in detail. Then you can align your money with that. So for me, it was doing just that. It's called your vision statement. I had a
mm,
mentor. I never did this before, but I had a mentor of mine had me do it. And my wife and I, we did it together. You take 10 pieces of paper, you go to a quiet area in
okay.
30 minutes to an hour, and then you write out everything you want in your life. And you be detailed, not just, hey, I want X amount of dollars or I want to retire. No, it's a great analogy. Pretend like you're 110 years old or 120 years old and you're on in a rocking chair and you're
Hmm,
looking back over your life. What specifically has to happen for you to go, wow, this was a great life. What a run. And you write it out, everything in detail, and then you start building from there. So that was for me, it changed my life where I really took the time to say, hey, this is the life I want. These are the things I want to accomplish. This is what my life looks like, and for my wife and my kids. And my wife and I, then we come together and we
hmm.
start comparing and contrasting of, hey, you learn a lot about each other, which is really important, but then you start building a life together. And so that is what we did. And I tell you what, it was almost like a springboard. Like things just changed for us in a wonderful way.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's talk about those talks you had with your wife at the start. You and your wife didn't just build a financial firm, you built it around your marriage, your values, and your vision. What did those early kitchen table conversations look like at the start
Yeah.
when you're trying to decide how to risk comforts for Colin?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, some of the conversations weren't easy. I mean, when we were
Hmm,
young, if you go all the way back when we were newly married in the early years of our marriage, we had or money disagreements. One of
hmm,
the biggest conflicts in marriage today and one of the biggest causes of divorce is fights
money.
about money. Yes, ma'am. It breaks my heart. It does. And guess what? I was no different. I was no different. I remember my wife and I, kept having the same disagreement about money. And it was like
Hmm,
our wheels were spinning in the mud and we weren't
wow.
going anywhere. We weren't getting, the resolution of what we wanted. And I remember it. We were on our way back from a weekend getaway, my wife and I. We went to Lubbock, Texas, which is a college town. We went to college football games, hung out with friends. A great weekend, right? On the way home, the same money disagreement again.
Wow.
And I finally pulled the car over and just to breathe and just to take it all in. And I
Hmm,
remember my wife said this to me. She goes, "I just wanna know that we're in this together." And at that time when she said that in my mind, I was thinking, "What do you mean we are in this together? We're doing it." But she was right. Because again, I leaned on my mentors and I read several books, and not about money, but about marriages.
hmm,
I was trying to do things the right way, but I wasn't. And where I was really making a big mistake is I was a financial advisor. So I thought that I should be handling all the money and doing this and that. And it's just
um,
because it's what I did for a living. But I
yes.
was wrong. I never took the time to say, hey, what is it that you want? What life do you want? Not just, hey, we're building something together, but what specifically, like I said, that vision statement. And so that changed everything for us. It really did when we came together and started making all decisions together and both having a voice of, hey, this is where we're going. And that changed everything. And so since that conversation happened and those strategies and little activities happen, everything has come off. And then from there, you're talking about as we built the business together, it was
Mm.
just saying, hey, we have these values, we have these goals. This is what our beliefs about money and investing and proven strategies that work. Okay, let's start building a process that we can implement them. And like I said, we've never looked back.
Wow. I mean, you and your wife, you basically unlocked something that a lot of couples still struggle with today, and that's talking about money. From your own story, what's the most powerful shift couples can make to transform their money talks from arguments to alignment?
Absolutely. The number one thing is communication, because what
Mm,
happens is if you don't communicate, it's like these little disagreements, you keep them in and they fester and they get bigger and they get bigger. It's like a bubble that expands. And all of a sudden, what does a bubble do and expands?
it's both. It breasts.
That's it. It pops, it busts, boom. And then, that leads to arguments. It's the
Mm,
communication, but then also taking the time to make sure that every voice is heard and every voice is understood, and really to try to understand them. Because think about it, Stephanie, all of us individuals as human beings, we
mm,
come from a certain environment, raised by certain parents with their own beliefs and a certain error. And
yeah.
all these things shape who we are and how we view the world and how we see money. Not good or bad. It's just, it's psychology. But to
Mm,
really understand someone, you need to take the time to see where have they come from? What has shaped their beliefs? Why do they believe that? And not to judge, but just to understand. And once you start having these conversations and really get to know each other on a deeper level, and not
mm,
only our past, but also, again, like I said, what is it that they want?
mm,
Everybody speaks English, but we all speak a different language. And what I mean by that is certain vocabulary words are going to resonate within us in our hearts.
differently.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so
Mm,
once you start to do these things, and in the book we have activities, simple things you can do together, you start to grow. And I tell
mm,
you what, when you like for my wife and yeah, I love what I do. And so us doing this together and starting a company together and working it, and then my kids come up here to the office and I have Nerf footballs and little things that we play with in the hallway. Like you don't understand how much joy that gives me. And we've
yeah.
been able to do that, but we did it together. So the number one thing is start this communication process. And in a
Mm,
non-judgmental, open your heart, open your ears, both individuals, and come together and really start. Now, is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to take time to where, hey, and you have to be intentional, put it on the calendar. Like even right now, my wife and I have
mm,
monthly, it's on the calendar, on our business calendar, on our personal calendar of, hey, we are getting together on this day and we're talking everything finances. And when my wife and I talk about like Michael's family financial meetings, yeah, it's business, but it's also life. Hey, what do we have planned for
mm.
the kids? What is the, so it's just a moment in time where we get quiet time together where we're going to talk and communicate.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's go back to your childhood.
Mm.
Growing up in that type of in very tight circumstance with your single mom, with your mom, how did that shape and influence your life choices pertaining to what you studied, the type of friends you hung around with, and what you decided to become in future? How did that shape you to who you are
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. When you go from a certain level of lifestyle to then a lower level of lifestyle, you really see what you don't have and what's missing. Like I've got a buddy, he does mission work and he goes outside the United States and there's these kids, right? And then they're by the world standards, they're not very wealthy. But I tell you what, they're the happiest go lucky kids in the world. You know why? Because they don't know what they don't know. They might
Mm,
be down here on the wealth scale, but they don't know that. They don't know all the stuff that's out that they're missing. But it's when
exactly.
you go from here to here is when you know. So my childhood growing up was I knew all of a sudden all the things I used to have, I don't.
Oh,
And so it made me, perceive the world to pay attention to certain things and what I wanted and what I could have. There was growing up when I was 16 years old, I got
mm.
lucky again. And as you're starting to see, Stephanie, a big portion of my life is luck. I just get lucky from time to time. And again, I got lucky again. I
Yeah.
worked at a golf course. I was a cart boy. I took out the trash. I washed the golf carts. I mean, I picked golf balls on the driving range.
Oh,
Nothing sexy about what I did. I made minimum wage, but the owner of the golf course, his name was Rex, and he
mm.
took me under his wing and he showed me about compound interest. He even
Wow.
showed me specifically numbers that if I took a certain portion of my paycheck, which was nothing, no money at all, but if I took a certain portion of it, by the time I got to my mid 30s, there was a ton of money there. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, boom, it changed my thought process of, "Oh my goodness, my future could be brighter than my past." I felt empowered to where, "Okay, now let me start learning more about money and more about this money thing, because if I can have the power to do that coming from nothing to be something,"
yeah.
that really excited me. So those are the things that really shaped my childhood and propelled me into the future that I'm living today.
So was that what pivoted you into the financial sector? Like you were going to study finance, you're going to become a financial planner and all that.
Well, actually, what propelled in the financial industry, because I didn't know I wanted to be a financial advisor, or a wealth manager. I didn't know that. I just knew
Okay.
that I wanted to learn about money, just to
Mhm.
better my own life. But when I was in college, I got an internship with one of my mentors. Like I said, he was a financial advisor. I was a quote unquote junior broker intern, but I stuffed envelopes, did the grunt work, which was fine. That's what interns do. But I love it. I fell in love with it. Again, I got lucky to where I said, "Oh my goodness." Because what happened was I saw, when you do some handiwork, you go outside, you mow the grass, you actually,
Mm,
when you're done mowing it, you see the fruits of your labor. You can see
yes.
what you accomplished. Well, when I was there interning, I could see it as well, the benefit you make in people's lives. How do you use this money as a tool to make their life better, to take their worries and give them more peace, to give them more confidence? And so
Mm,
that's when I go, "Oh my goodness, this is for me." I love it. And so I fell in love with it. And like I said, I don't work a day in my life because I really enjoy what I do.
wow. That's very you're one of the few people on earth that's basically getting paid to do what they love. Not
That's
everyone
it.
does that. You're very lucky.
I am very
I,
lucky.
I think the luck would stem from the fact that you studied the whole Bible for a year. I mean, that opened up opportunities for you, isn't it?
It really is, and please, Stephanie, I want everyone to know that I'm not trying to push my faith on anybody else, and if somebody
Yeah.
doesn't believe what I believe, that's okay. I still love you,
Hmm.
I wanna help you.
Yeah.
But it resonated with me because our pastor, I'll tell you the story. He had a story where he was in seminary school, which is the
Mm.
school you go to before you become a pastor. And his buddy came up to him and he says, did you know that betting is a sin? It's against the Bible. And so my pastor,
Yeah.
Pastor Rick, goes, "You know what? I'll bet you $100 you can't find that anywhere in the Bible and show it to me that where betting's a sin." And so his buddy had to come back to him 2 weeks later and give him $100 because it is nowhere in the Bible that betting is a sin. Now, I'm not sitting here saying betting's right and pushing that, but I'm just saying, every now and then when I like college football, if my buddy likes a college team, he wants to bet me $5 they're gonna win, I'm gonna take that because he's my buddy and I wanna beat him. But
Yeah.
again, I thought I didn't know if it was against the Bible, so it really caught me off
Mm.
guard. So that's where I go, I gotta know what this says. I gotta stop listening and just believing based off what somebody tells me. I wanna know for myself. And so it started this whole journey, and I'm happy I did it.
I mean, it resonates so well with me because also being a woman of faith, I've not finished the entire Bible, but
Mhm.
yes, I'm still reading so much, getting there.
Good. Well, and here's the number one. You'll gain it's the greatest business book, money book ever written. It really is. But here's
Yes.
a very good, very, very good, insightful thing about it because there is peace. Now, my life is not perfect. I've got
Mm.
4 kids. Do all of them eat all their vegetables and go to bed on time? And the answer is
No.
no, they don't. So my life's not perfect. They still give dad attitude. I've got 2 little girls. They boss me around all the time. Okay. But the thing is when you read the Bible and you really understand what it says, and that's something I believe in, when I'm
Mm.
really trying, not perfect, but trying to live by a certain set of values, core values, and what I believe aligns with how I'm living my life, there really is peace in that. And so that's why I
Yes.
encourage everyone, don't just listen to me. Again, don't listen to everything I say. Do it for yourself and see how it impacts your life.
Amazing. One of my favorite quotes from the Bible is, "I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me." That's Philippians 4:13. When things get very daunting and I'm just lost in that cycle of analysis paralysis, I'm like, okay, no, I can actually do it. I just need to take the first step. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And yes, I'm in the business. I'm doing it.
You are, I think, no, I love that. And I love that. And you probably tell yourself over that multiple
Moving.
times, either a day or a week, and just ingrain it. And then it becomes part of who you are and you find
Yeah.
strength within the storm. So good.
Yeah.
I love that. It's true. Good for you, Stephanie.
One thing I did differently at the start of this year was that I went through the Bible and I wrote down 50 affirmations that I say to myself every day, all scripture based. So I say these
Hmm.
affirmations to myself every day that I can do all things through Christ strengthens me. I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. I'm marvelously helped by God. I say all these things to myself every single day. And yes, the year has started out on a very rough patch, but it's transforming into a very beautiful year. I started my podcast this year and we're global top 5% as of now. So
Good for you. No, I love that, and what I love is what you just said, Stephanie, and I hope everybody listening right now really just heard that because you said, "I'm doing it, I'm sticking with it." Now, did it just remarkably, just incredibly change your
mm-mm,
life overnight? No,
no.
just with everything, there's gonna be this, but I promise you this, and you're already living proof of it, 2
Yeah.
years from now, 3 years from now, if you continue on, your life is gonna continue to do this on the uptick.
Yeah.
So good for you. I hope everyone just heard what you say. That's powerful.
Okay, let's unpack your book title. You talk about rich by choice. It's a bold statement. What
Mhm.
does it actually mean to choose wealth? And how is it different from simply earning or saving or investing in the way that textbooks tells us to?
Yeah, it's actually that question is 2 answers, and the
Okay.
first one is the choice, is
Hmm.
rich by choice, and like I said, there's a lot of people think they don't have a choice, and I'm here
Hmm.
to say you do. I mean, remember my mom. My mom completely rebuilt her life. I mean, she is our greatest or my greatest client. I mean, and I love all the families that we work with. I mean, we love them. Like I said, they're family to us, but you know how
Right.
special it is for me to look my mom in the eye and go, "Mom, you never have to worry again." After
Wow.
everything she's been through, that's powerful, and I want everyone to experience that, and
Hmm.
it's a choice we all have. The second part is the word rich, and rich, yes, is with money, which is a marketing word. If someone sees rich, they're gonna look at it. It's gonna catch their eye. But as you read the book, yes, it does help you become rich with money. It absolutely will. But it's also about becoming rich in life, rich in joy, rich in peace, rich in exciting adventures and memories with loved ones, rich in faith, rich in family.
Hmm.
Because that's what it is. But then also too is once you've acquired and built these riches, no matter what happens in the world, you're going to
Hmm.
be confident in your future because you're going to know how to protect those riches. And so
Wow.
that's for the two things others that you have a choice, be intentional about those choices, and then rich. I talk about in the book. When I use the word rich or wealth, yes, it means money, but it's also $1 million or $1 billion, but it's
Hmm.
also a million kisses from your grandchildren, a
Wow.
million times that it takes your breath away for an incredible experience. All these different things, a billion moments in life where you go, "Man, I'm lucky and blessed." So it's rich in money, but it's rich in abundance in life as well.
This is a whole lot because you're basically giving me so much to take in. And this is just a masterclass. It's so packed. And I'm really grateful. Just something you said, basically, you choosing wealth, you choosing what wealth means to you. Could be $1 million in the bank, could be a million kisses from your grandkids. It means that you just want to let people know that they have a choice on what they want to be rich in. And that's powerful.
Well, I appreciate that, and it is, and also being intentional that your
Hmm.
life is going to either be by design, which means you have the power to control it, to shape it, to build it,
Yeah,
or it's going to be by default. And doing nothing is a choice. Doing nothing is actually making the choice to do nothing where nothing happens. Like right
true.
now on my computer, right here to my right, I journal every morning when I read the Bible and I write down. But underneath there, I have what's called my scoreboard, which is my happiness matrix. In there, I have all the things
Hmm.
and the people that are really important to me. And so I'm constantly looking at, not every day, but every week of going, okay, hey, this relationship's really important to me. What am I working on? Where am I making time for that person? Where am I
Yeah.
being intentional with what's important to me? But you also do that with your finances. Hey, what am I doing right now? What strategies? What have I made that's automatic that just happens where I know I'm going to be there in 3 years, whether it be 401k investing, building real estate? What am I doing that's automatic? So
Hmm.
it's being intentional and making that choice to do that.
Wow, that's just profound because I like the fact that you said we have to be intentional. We can't just live this life. Life can't just throw things at us. We need to be intentional about how we respond to life and turn it to what we want it to be. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, 70, I have 4 kids. Today, I'm gonna leave here. I'm coaching my son who's 5 in T-ball. Do you know, I mean, I go from one thing and my life gets wild. So it's so common. And people who are listening to this are the same way. I mean, how often do you look up for a breath of air and all of a sudden a week has gone by? 3 months have gone by. Life
Yeah.
comes at us fast and it throws us curveballs and it just happens. So it's good to have some sort of matrix or scorecard where you can continuously look at, hey, these are the things I'm working towards. Where am I at? When's the last time I looked here? When's the last time I took time to to look at this strategy and make sure it's still on track. And so it just being intentional is so important.
I like the concept of the scoreboard. You keeping track of the metrics that are your key happiness trackers. So looking back at your life, what would you say is the your biggest investments in terms of resources or time that you looked at thing and like, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing and this makes sense. What would you say was your biggest investment moments of your resources or your time that has
Mhm.
made it worthwhile for you in what you're
No,
doing?
that answer is really simple. It's 2. It's my faith in my wife. Really it
Mm,
is. The time and intention of building my faith, trying to grow, and I'm still so
yeah.
far behind and so much to learn. My brother's a pastor, and he knows more in his little pinky than I do in my whole entire body about faith in the Bible. So, I'm still trying to just working towards it, trying to become a better person.
Mm,
And I'll say this about this, most people want certain things. They want a nice car, they want a nice house, they want certain things. But actually, before you get things, you have to become a certain person. You have to
mm,
grow as an individual, whether intellectually, spiritually, compassion. So that is one investment. Then also my wife. Just our relationship. In my view,
mm.
she's a gift from God. She's incredible. Oh my goodness. Like she's the glue that holds it all together. She really is. Without her, it's like
Um,
everything is going to explode and unravel. So those 2 things in my life, the investment and the time and the energy,
mm,
ROI, it's off the chart. Like you can't even measure it. And I really mean that looking back because my wife and I, we're doing things now, like you said, Stephanie, writing a book and bestseller this and bestseller that. I never thought it was possible. I never saw this. I just kind
well,
of I just chased a passion and it happened. And it really stems from God and my wife.
nice. I know you've coached it's lots of people, especially in terms of money management and financial planning. What would you say is the biggest money myth you want to debunk from people's mindset and erase from people's mindset today? And how does that hold them back in terms of them choosing making their wealth choices, really?
Yeah. The number one thing and the most powerful thing is what you think in your mind. It really is. The people who say, "Hey, I can't do that," or I'm poor," or "That will never happen." No, the biggest one is you have to believe it. Like what you do, Stephanie, you have to tell yourself it every day. If you're in
Mm,
a tough situation right now, you wake up and you have those affirmations. You say, "I will do this. I will do that." And you know what? That applies. In my book, I talk about this during the is in America, the APA Association is research. They say 90% of Americans right now stress about money. And
mm,
then 70% of that 90% are living and feeling extreme stress. Now, let's unravel that real quick because most people think when you think that, you might say, okay, well, that's people living paycheck to paycheck, or people that are quote unquote poor trying to
yeah.
make it. Well, no, stress, anxiety, worries, I see it on the scale of all sorts of when it comes to money. There's people out there you would think, hey, they've got a lot of money. What do they have to stress about? They have real problems too. They're humans just like everyone else. And so that's the thing is when it comes to money stress, it's all ends of the spectrum. And so
Mm.
gaining control on that and understanding where you are and where you want to be, then you start to see that stress drop and confidence and peace grow. And that's a life that you want.
Wow. I like it. I like what you're saying because it's very pivotal to your background in psychology. You hold a degree in psychology and the mindset is a central point of what you've studied and what you've come to learn. Can you share a client story of how you're able to help them manage their portfolio and how that results changed your perspective and changed the way the outlook about life?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you, just talking about the mindset shifting it. I already it didn't really shift mine, but it shifted theirs. I had
Yeah.
a lady come into my office, and she was going through a divorce. It
Mm,
was terrible. Our first meeting together, she sat across from me, and she could barely speak. She was crying, and we didn't really talk. And to be honest with you, I was trying to think of things to say or something to say, but in reality, it hit me that Nick, there's nothing you can say right now that's gonna make it better. Just sit
mm,
with her, hand her to, and she just cried, and my heart broke. It really was. It was just a terrible, sad situation, and she came from a bad marriage. As she went through the divorce process and we sat down more and more, in the book, I talk about someone's money emotion. What are you really searching for? And I
mm,
remember it like it was yesterday. She said the word independence. She said, I want to be
mm,
financially independent. And then the next sentence, I never want to have to rely on someone again. I never want this to happen to me again, which means when she was divorced, she lost a lot. I mean, not only did she lose a loved one, a companion who left her, but I mean, she lost a lot of money. And so she wanted to build back up to where, hey, it's on her. But once she said that in her
Yeah.
mind, this is what I want. I know I'm very clear about what I want. You should
Mm-hmm.
have seen it. It was like her eyes, it was like a tiger or a lion. Like she just got this fierce look in her eye. And we slowly started to build it up. And it
Mm,
came out of a plan. And she was so disciplined and just kept working. And then now I'm pleased to tell you that she is financially independent. She is a
wow.
multimillionaire. She is living her best life. She has found love again, which she is an incredible
Wow.
human being. I love this woman to death. She's like family to me. She has found love again, but guess what? It's on her own terms to where
Hmm.
if something happens, she is not financially devastated. Her life is not over. And she did that and she's cognizant of that. And I'm so proud of her. So just by that mental, that
That's
psychology, when you talk about her just understanding of, hey, this is what I want. I'm
mm,
ready. This is what's going to make me happy. Boom, we built a life. And she doesn't care. Not that she doesn't care. She's a loving person. She cares about everybody. But
yeah.
other people that want different things, that's not doesn't what she wants. Doesn't bother her. She knows what she wants. She's
Mm-hmm.
living her best life, and I'm so happy for her. Like, where did it start? It started right
On the
here.
mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. When I first got started in this industry, I never really talked about my psychology degree. I never really talked because I did, I was in finance. What does psychology have to do
Yeah.
with finance? I was young. But psychology, finance is almost all psychology. It really
Hmm.
is on what starts right here and what you believe, what you perceive will happen. So it is.
That's very profound because you're basically living out your book titled Rich by Choice. You're helping people make that choice every single day. And that's one of the fundamental things about our podcast. Our podcast aims to inspire, educate, and inform real estate investors and potential investors. And you've said it, it's not just about numbers. Being rich is not about having numbers in the spreadsheet. It's about how you help clients connect their investments to a larger story. And this is very profound. It's how you helped this woman. She came from a place where she was down. She was at her lowest point. She was going through a very tough divorce and she just felt her world crushing down. And she made something. You help her make a realization that she wants to be financially independent. She wanted to be independent. And I'm sure independence for her didn't just mean financial. It also meant mental health, meant spiritual, physical, and you basically helped her rewire her mindsets. So how do you help clients to connect their investments to a larger story, not just money, not just the spreadsheets, whether it's
Mhm.
family, legacy, and freedom, or simply peace of mind? What's your process like?
Absolutely, that's a really good question. I had these couple comes in, Jim and Lisa, and, they
Oh,
sat
okay.
down with me for the first time, and they were looking to sell their business. They built up this business, sweat and tears into it. It was a wonderful business, and they were looking to exit. And when they
Hmm.
first sat down with me, they had all these because Jim was he was an engineer type, like numbers, spreadsheets. He had it all. I mean, it was
Okay.
all right there, talking about this and that, and all the business evaluation. And they were just laying it on me. I didn't even have a chance to breathe. I just walked right in and boom. But then I smiled and I said, "Hey, hold on a second." And I told him, I said, "We're going to get to all that. I promise
Hmm.
you. We're going to dive in there. We're going to get in it. But I care more about you and your family than I do your money.
Hmm.
Let's start by talking about life. Let's start by talking about the next chapter of your life and what do you want to see happen? What's important to you? What are you worried about? What do you
Hmm.
lose sleep over? Who's important to you that you're trying to take care of as well?" So we always talk about our process. We always start there. Just like the book, it takes the reader on a journey of understanding who's important, what's the exact life. Also understand your strengths and weaknesses. We all have them. Not good or bad or better than anybody, just we all have them. Then once we understand all that, then we go through the process. And with us, we have what's called Rich by Choice Elite. And what that means is we
Oh.
dive into 6 different areas. One is, yes, investment consulting. We're going to help you make smart decisions with your money. We're going to help protect your money and grow it. But then we're
Hmm.
also going to jump into, hey, how do we save money on taxes? How do we increase your cash flow? How do we make sure your loved ones are taken care of? Heaven forbid the unexpected happens. How do we, what's called wealth transfer, make sure your assets go to your loved ones, but also you're protected and your way of life is protected from being unjustly taken or lost. And then the last one, which is great because all of our clients, they get to a point we build wealth to where, hey, the day-to-day stuff, they're taken care of. Like they get to do
Yeah.
this and do that. Then it's, okay, Nick, how do we make a lasting impact on the world? Charitable
Okay.
giving. So how do we set things up? And we build in there too what's called family relationship management, which is so important. You just talked about legacy. Use that word legacy. There are so many negative statistics that, hey, if someone builds up real estate, they build up wealth. Do you know 65% of the time all that's gone within the first generation? 95% it's gone within the second generation. All these things we want to do as parents to take care of our kids, it doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
there's strategies out there, and I talk about that in the book of, hey, how can you prepare the next generation? Most of the time people say, hey, I just talked to my estate attorney, good luck, you're getting half, son or daughter, or you're getting this percentage, or you're getting, and that's where the conversation stop. Do
Yeah.
you know right now in America, there's families with 50, 100, $200 million plus, portfolios that they're hiring companies to take this family on a retreat, and they have a whole legacy plan where they talk about values, core values, and mission statements and plans. That's
Mm.
wonderful. But I don't care if you have $100 million or $1 million or less. These concepts I talk about in my book, you need to do this because you're not just passing on money, you're
Yeah.
passing on a lifestyle. You're passing on core
Mm.
values. And
Yes.
those things, just like me, my wife and I, we have 4 kids. Do you know when I'm in heaven looking down how happy I would be that they took what my wife and I created and built upon it, not just
Mm.
sucked it dry and lost it?
Yeah.
So there's certain strategies that you can use. I talk about this to prepare the next generation, not just with money, but with life. And I didn't know all these, 10 years ago, but they're
Mhm.
so important. So these are the things that we really do. And like we have clients that are fourth generation wealth. Do you know how much that means to us? But it's these things, these concepts that we try to build into where, again, design or default. It doesn't just happen. Maybe
Yeah.
you get lucky and it does, but most of the time it doesn't. You have to be intentional. So those are
Yeah.
some of the things that we do when it comes to our process. And what I love is it works. We're disciplined with it. It's proven. Like one person asked me, Nick, you manage hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you get worried? And the answer is no, I don't. And it's
Mm.
not arrogance. It's a proven process that we're
Process.
disciplined that works to where, hey, I know that if we do all these things, check
Mm.
mark all these boxes, have plan, strategies, solutions, that I just get to go to sleep and I sleep like a baby. I mean, I chase my 4 kids around. I'm tired. I sleep like a baby. But I don't worry at all though.
Wow. Yeah, and it shows because you've been able to build such a proven system that works. Not just a proven system with a proven team. What was your strategy about picking your team members? How were you able to put together such a team that you could trust and could handle the complexities of managing other people's finances?
Absolutely. I can't. I mean, that's such a great question. And I hope everybody's listening because it's getting the right people on the bus. You have
Yeah.
to get the right people on board. And I read this book one time that talked about when you are a successful company, you should
Mm.
be a leadership factory. And what that means is
Mm.
you're hiring and you're building leaders. It's you're taking people and getting the right people. And so to be honest with you, Stephanie, when we hire people,
Mm.
finances is not the number one thing I look on their resume. It's not. And I might be wrong for that, but I believe I'm right because I look at other things such as compassion, care, integrity, hard work. Those things, like I can't teach those things. It's either you have them or you don't. It's either
Mm.
you want to be a good person, you want to grow, you want to learn, you want to help people, or you don't. If I can get those characteristics, I can teach people money. I can teach them finance. And so
Mm.
that's how we did it. We focused on the person, getting the right people on the bus with the right characteristics, and then we train them up. And then, yes, our company uses a lot of resources, a lot of money to train our staff to be the best. Because what we've learned is the more all of us, myself included, learn and grow,
Mm.
that not only the more people we can help, but the better we can help those people, the better, the greater influence we have on our life. So the number one thing is getting the right people on the bus. And when you get there, like to go back to leadership factory,
Yeah.
create leaders out of them, make them become and help them become better people. And just like myself, is that I love to grow, I love to learn. So
Mm.
we put that in the culture, and that's when things really just start to tick upward.
That's crazy. I like the way you said, I love what you said, creating a leadership factory because you're not just controlling the business, you're empowering people to take on these positions and be leaders in their own rights. Because a leader is someone who people would want to follow, you're not being a boss to them, you're not just micromanaging and stressing over them. You're basically empowering them to do the work they are skilled to do. That's why you
Hmm.
said you look out for attributes like compassion, like energy within their CV, not just in the financial metrics.
That's
That's
it.
really powerful.
It's worked. It has because you can teach finance. You can.
Yeah. That
A lot of
skills
the
you can
things
teach.
is tough to teach, and so if we get the right people on the bus, and my wife and I will be the first to say we're so lucky. I mean, we've got our team is amazing. We're so
Mm.
lucky. I mean, they are. They're wonderful individuals,
Shout out to the
wonderful
team.
families. I mean, really, they are. I mean, it is because like you said, if you micromanage and you have to do everything yourself as a
Mm.
leader or an owner, you're not going very far. But if you get the right people on the bus and you train them up and we all do it together. When I was in high school, is one of the greatest, and if you're a leader right now, I want you to listen to this because it's one of the greatest examples of leadership I've ever seen. And it stuck with me. I was probably real close to that 15, 16 years old. I was in high school as a
Ooh.
freshman, and our basketball coach in the off season. Now you have to remember in Texas, it gets hot in Texas. I'm talking
Really
hot.
hot.
I mean, 105, 107 degrees. It
Wow.
gets hot. We're out there doing track work. We're running hills, running bleachers.
Mm.
Our coach was doing it right there with us, doing all the work. Now he might not have been as fast as some of us because he was a little older, but he was there doing the work. And he said something to us one day, and I'll never forget it. He goes, "Men, I'll never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself."
Mm.
How many high school coaches
Awesome.
do you think are out there doing that with their players?
Not
Not many.
many.
He did. Now I tell her, and that stuck with me. I always tell our team that I'm never going to have you do something that I'm not willing to do, or I haven't done myself. Because you got to think, I started at the bottom. I was an intern. I did
Mm.
all the groundwork, so I've done it all, and I can relate. And so we try to do that concept too. That hey, we're in this together. And so that's a really good leadership characteristic to always remember. Just say, hey. I've been there. I'm never gonna ask you to do something I haven't done myself or won't currently do.
Nice. So if we look at 5 years, 10 years from now into the future, what big shifts do you see coming and how families approach money? And for someone listening right now and feeling buried in financial stress, what's the very first step they should take to reclaim control of their finances?
Yeah, I'll say this first
Mm.
caveat is, when it comes to money, it's really tough to give financial advice because everybody's in a different situation. Not everyone's the same. But if you talk about the individual who's really struggling month to month, really trying to create, the first thing I'll have them do is write down who's important to them, what's important to them. Really get a clear
Okay.
idea of where they want their life to be because that's what's going to carry them forward to get
Mm.
through that storm that they're going through right now in the chapter of the season of life that they're in. But the second thing is to control their budget and what that looks like. And what I mean is a different thing. Everyone knows budgeting tactics. You write on a piece of paper, you use a spreadsheet, you do all this stuff. But then
Yeah.
go line by line, like with your spouse, by yourself, if you're not married, but do it together if you are, and go
Mm.
item by item and say, okay, where we're at now and where we want to be. Is this getting us closer there? Is this bringing us more peace and joy right now? Is it,
Okay.
stopping us or helping us get to where we want to be? And you go through everyone, you'll be shocked on how many things in your budget you'll go, I didn't even know I was spending money on that. I didn't even
Mm.
this is not bringing any more joy to my life. I'd rather be here in 5 years than keep spending money on this. And so that's the thing is take that control of understanding where your money's gonna go. I mean, just think you're gonna work 90,000 hours in your life. That's a lot for a lot of money. Take the time to understand where your money's going and then have hope. We're gonna go through ups and downs in the world economy over the next 5 years. Understanding where you are and then where you wanna be. And here's the thing, Stephanie, it's gonna take work. I mean, just
Mm.
think, Tom Hanks had a great quote in a baseball movie. He says, "Of course, baseball is hard. If it's easy, everybody could do it." There is no get rich quick scheme, just like there's no lose weight or get healthy overnight scheme. There's not a
True.
magic pill. There's not. I wish there was. I'd give it to you, but I don't have it. There's not. Are you willing to put into work? And is what you're trying to obtain worth it? If it is, wake up every day and chase after it. Get intentional about your activities. Find out what really moves the needle, and then just
Mm.
keep repeating it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, what would you say to people? Because right now AI is taking over and everyone is
Mhm.
getting advice from AI.
Yeah.
Would you say people should take advice from AI in terms of managing their finances, or they should come to you?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. Let me tell you, I love AI. I use it. I like technology, but it's
Yeah.
how you use it. So
Mm.
imagine AI. So imagine you have, okay, take me for example. My wife would give me a hard time because I'm not Mr. Fix It. I can't, I mean, God bless me with intellect when it comes to numbers, when it comes to math, psychology.
Yeah.
I couldn't build a house right now to save my life. If something goes wrong in my house and I try to fix it, I'm going to cause more harm. That's going to cost me more money when I hire someone else to fix what I messed up on top of the original problem.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I just went to AI right now and said, show me how to build a house, I want to
Mm.
build a house, it's going to give me all these things to do. Now, could a lot of it be right? Absolutely. But here's the thing I want you to remember, if one thing is wrong, I would have no idea that it was wrong because I know
Mm.
nothing about building the house. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes.
AI. And AI, when it searches a lot of really good information, but it's still searching the internet and a lot of facts and things people put on the internet. Not everything everybody puts on the internet is absolutely correct. I
True.
mean, am I right or wrong in saying that?
You're true. You're
It is.
absolutely
So
correct.
if somebody now, me in the financial industry, if I
Mm,
go to AI and I use AI and I say, "Hey, tell me how to build a portfolio and how to protect someone's, wealth and they're this age and that age and this is what we're trying to accomplish." As I go through there, I can lean on my education, on my experience, and then I can go, "Oh, this is really good stuff. Oh, no, this one thing I wouldn't do that. That's asking for trouble." Or statistically speaking, that could work, but that might not. So it's when you combine experience, intelligence with a topic that a human being already knows,
yeah.
combine that with AI, and you leverage AI almost like a personal assistant as
Mm,
a younger junior version of yourself where they can do all the research. Then you can, when you combine those, that's when the power of AI comes in. But just like taxes, I know a little bit about taxes, and we really specialize in taxes, not just now, but over the next 20, 30, 40 years of someone's life and next generation about
mm,
saving money on taxes. But if nobody knew, like say an individual who was not a CPA, knew nothing about taxes, like my oldest son's 19. Okay, he doesn't know much about taxes. If he went to AI and said, "Hey, do my taxes for me," da 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 da, and trusted it, it would only be one thing, and all of a sudden now my son's in trouble with the IRS.
mm,
Which here in the United States. Because it might be 99% perfect, 95% perfect. One thing that's in there that's wrong, he would have no idea. So
mm.
I'm not against AI. I'm actually younger. I love AI. I love leveraging technology, but you have to have a safety net, and that is a human being that
Yes.
knows the industry or knows the topic. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
That makes a lot of sense.
Because AI is not
Exactly.
it's not 100% accurate. Now it's really, really good, but
Mm,
it's not 100% accurate because they'll
exactly.
search the internet. Yeah,
Thank you so much. And that
yeah.
brings us to the end of the segment. We have to move to a second segment, which is the rapid fire round. I'm not going to let
Okay,
you go until you answer my rapid fire round.
okay. How many
So
questions do we have?
it's just four questions. And this is me hitting you with a bunch of four questions and you hitting me right back with the very first answer that comes to mind. So
Okay,
drum roll.
I'll try my best.
So what's the most expensive bad money decision you've ever made?
Bad money decision I've ever made?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm not a things person, so I haven't bought something.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, when I was young and I was in college, I heard about a stock tip, I invested and I lost all my money. I mean, really,
Oh,
it is. I've never had a client lose money. I've never lost money since. I'm happy it happened. It wasn't very much, but I listened to someone else and who didn't know what they were talking about and learned, and that happens to a lot of people.
if money were a person, what kind of personality would he have in your life right now?
Stable. A stable.
Ooh. If you weren't in finance, what would you be doing today? What else?
I played professional basketball. I used to have a basketball academy working with kids all over the world. I really
Mm.
enjoyed it. It'd probably be something like that. I love that kind of stuff. I still do that for free, nonprofit, on the side, and I just really enjoy it. Mixing sports and working with kids. I love it.
Wow. So when you're brainstorming, what's your go-to? Tea, coffee, or something stronger? I
Yeah,
see you
it's coffee.
sipping.
I'll drink coffee and I'll read. I tell you what, I try to, and Warren Buffett does this, which is true. I tell the kids in high school when we go talk to the high schools,
Yeah.
read. Read as much as you can. Read good stuff, and don't
Wow.
listen to it's good, but actually read it because it's kind of like doing wind sprints for the brain. So coffee and a good book.
Amazing. So how can we reach you, Dr. Nicholas? How can we reach you? Your book, your website? Let's get to
I
it.
I appreciate you asking that. What I want to do is I want to give all your listeners a free gift right now, and I really it is from the
Ooh.
heart. If they go right now, get out your phone, and there's no strings attached. Go to www.richbychoicebook.com, richbychoicebook.com, and right there on the home screen, you'll see a green box that says free gift. Put in your email address, and then click the chapter. It's a PDF. It'll send you for free. Compounding by choice. So right now in your life, if you're struggling, you have worries, concerns, whether it be with money, family
Mm.
relationships, marriage, business, personal growth, anything, health and wellness, diet, read this chapter because most people, when they think about compounding, they think about what? Compounding interest, money.
Compound interest. Yeah.
Do you know, Stephanie, that every area of your life right now is compounding? And it's either compounding for good, which is joy,
Mm.
peace, security, more, or compounding for bad, which is causing more stress, more anxiety. And read that chapter. It's my gift for you. Not only myself, but thousands of other people's success stories have said this
Wow.
chapter is really, and it's simple because it gives you simple and easy strategies to follow that will instantly start improving your life in several different areas. So that's it. They can contact me, get in touch with me, but that's our free gift. Take it. And like I said, my whole goal when I do this is if you can learn one thing or be empowered and find hope, then wonderful. I'm happy I did my job. But this
Yeah.
chapter, I mean, I'm really get on there, do it now. It's free. It'll go to you and it'll change your life in an incredible way. So that's richbychoicebook.com. We're there. Our whole story's there. And I'm just, thank you, Stephanie, for having us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nick. It's been a pleasure hosting you on the pod today. You basically blew my mind.
That is, God bless everybody. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. And there we have it, guys. Dr. Nicholas has broken down what it means to be rich by choice. It means you putting out intentionality out there and determining what success means to you. So go into the description. I'll make sure I put the links in the description. Go there, get the free gift, and start making the money. Let's continue to turn knowledge into action and bricks into banks. This has been Bricks and Banks, and this is me signing off.